Hello and welcome to Mark Codex. My name is Mark. Welcome back to my channel, guys. And today we will be talking about another array function in JavaScript called map. In a previous video, I explained reduce function in depth. So if you haven't watched that, please feel free to check it out. I'll leave a link in the description box below. So map is a higher order function method that applies a function on each element in the array and returns a new array. Of course, this function will be customized to our needs. We'll break it down to its single components, and we will do a couple examples to showcase map in action. As usual, timestamps will be in the description box below in case you want to skip to any part of this video. All right, let's get to it. All right, so now if we can look at the example in front of us, we can see map in action by taking a previous array and multiply each element by 2. This is what map looks like. You basically attach it to the array and it will take 3 attributes. Unlike reduce has 4, accumulator 1 of them. In here we just have 3 attributes. We have the value, which is the value at the current moment of the iteration, the index, again at the same moment of the iteration, and the whole array. In the return, this is the callback function where we're gonna manipulate each element to what we need. So for this example, I just multiplied each element by 2. So if I uncomment this console and I save my file, I could see that the new array just multiplied each element by 2. Now, a couple of things are very, very important to notice in here. First, you got a simple yet very elegant function to use to actually modify an array. The other thing, you didn't have to worry about initializing an index. You didn't have to worry about initializing or knowing what is the length of the array because map will take care of that. Also, this function could be a one-liner. And to do that is simply, I could just, because I'm not using index and array, I could delete that. I could actually delete also those parentheses, and I could just delete the return with the curly braces, keep that multiplied by 2, and if I save, we got the same result. It's a one-liner, and that's the beauty of it. It's just very simple, short and sweet, as I like to call it, and this is it. All right, let's take a couple of examples just to showcase and see and understand, just kind of like drill it down into like how we can use map in here. So let's try to create a square root function. So we could change this variable to sqrt like the calculators, and what I want to do is just multiply value by value. So if I copy square root and change the console log, if I saved, we can see that each element, we got the square root of it. Of course, the map doesn't work only on numbers. We could just definitely have like any array that contains any element like strings, booleans, and so on and so forth. Just to make sure or understand map, just gonna iterate over each element, and then it will give you that element, and you gonna decide as a developer what do you want from it, or where is your need in that case. So all right, another example is basically map could be used to reform the array into basically just change this previous array to something different. Like for example, I wanted to have this array to be an array of object, and each object will contain a value and an index. And actually, let's delete this. And it will be simply something like this. So value, and it will have the value or the element. Actually, let's name it the element so we don't get confused. And then the index will be the index from the iteration. And this will be repeated 3 times for this array because we have 3 elements. So I just wanted to change all that from this simple array to this. So in order to do that, what we can do actually now, we have to add the, just gonna put this as value, and I'll explain later why did I do that. And I can just add curly braces in here, and curly braces in here, and add a return value. And in the return, I will convert this to an object that has a value. And the beauty of ES6, I don't have to add index, key of index to a value of index, because it is the same. So with ES6, you could just delete it. That's why I renamed this from VAL to value. So if I saved, I'm assuming I will see this as it is. I'll change just square root to reform, if I can spell. And there we go. We got the value 1, index 0, value 2, index 1. I just changed the whole array from a simple array or a one-liner array to an array of objects. And that's kind of like where you could use map also in another place. So if we can compare this to for loop, let's see how for loop will look like. So first we need to actually create a new array for, I'll call it new array for variable, and this variable will be initialized to an empty array. And I'll add my for loop, and the for loop of course need to initialize an index that equals to 0, and my condition will be index less than the length of the array, which is previous array, if I can spell. The length, and oh my god, and the length, and we will have the index be incremented by 1. Great. Now what we want to do, we wanted to grab each value and we wanted to push it to that new array 4. So let's actually create value variable, and we will assign that to previous array, and we will have the index inside. And then let's create the index, and this will equal to I, because that's our index. And now what we're gonna do, we're gonna say new array for dot push. So I wanted to push those two values in there as an object, and I will have value, comma, value, comma, index. And yep, that is it. So let's actually console log it. CLO, and let's do new array 4. And now we could see, we should see actually the same answer with a reform, but it will have no array in front of it. So let's save. And there we go. So we have it, the similar. Both of them are similar. But if you look at the difference, obviously we had to initialize index in here. We had to figure out the length. Well, we didn't have to figure out the length. Is just basically going to be in here, but you have to write the whole thing from scratch just to get that to pause, go back to the end of let's see, or as you see. So as we can see here, we can see definitely for loop is more code than the reform function in here, or the map function above it. We had to worry about creating how many variables, like we have like 1, 2, 3, and 4. On the other hand, we just had to create in here just like one variable, which is a reform, and we just push that. We don't have to worry about like pushing, or we just return the value in the index. And that's basically it. As you saw, map is a very simple method, but very powerful in its uses. So friends, I hope you enjoyed the video and find it useful. Please make sure to subscribe for upcoming videos that I will be creating in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next time, stay curious.